Today on 11 Gallery ATV, we are going to continue on with this YFZ450 build. We are going to be getting the linkage tore down, cleaned up, and rebuilt. And we are going to be getting the bearing carrier tore down, cleaned up, and rebuilt with new seals and everything. New bearings, new seals. Yeah. And we're going to be getting the shock tore down and cleaned up and assembled back up again. And we're going to be getting the swing arm rebuilt fully. Yep, we're going to be tearing this thing down. We're going to be popping the bearings out of it. We are going to be putting new bearings in and new seals and new bushings and new collars, and we're going to be greasing everything up. Yeah, so stay tuned. Alright, so before we can install all this stuff, let's dig right in and get it rebuilt, cleaned up, and ready to rock and roll. Woo! Hell yeah, this is exciting! Alright, let's go out to the garage. Woo! Alright folks, check it out. Now we're gonna redo our carrier. We got our bearing carrier right here, and we're gonna be pulling these bearings out. There's a double roller set in there, and we're gonna replace it with a single fat roller. There's double inside of here, so there's one big race instead of two, which will be fun to get out later. But it'll work pretty well. There's seals in there too, and yeah, so we got an O-ring here, we got an O-ring here, and we got an O-ring here, and we're going to replace those in the kit as well. And we're going to hook up our linkage. So we're going to be popping the bearings out of the linkage here. So we got little bearings in every orifice of these guys, of this linkage here. So we're going to be popping that out. We're going to be cleaning all this up. Double set of bearings in here. We're going to pop those out. And we're going to clean all this up. And we're going to get it all together in the swing arm. So let's get it done. Woo! Alright, first thing we're going to do, we're going to pull the seals. I already pulled the seal on this side. So we're going to pull the seal on this side. And all we need is a little screwdriver here. And we'll just keep on working it around. And there we go. And one more. And look at that. Boom. All right. And our kit comes with brand new seals to put back in when we're done. So let's get these babies done. Woo. Maybe I can do it the old-fashioned way. All right, let's see if we can get a bite on this thing. That felt solid. Ooh, no wonder why. I went through the thing. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, there you go. I got it crack-a-lacking now. We made a little bit of progress. So that's the way we need to do these. But I'm going to tilt it this way rather than this way because I went up underneath the sleeve. Okay. Well, let's give it less of a... You know what? The boards aren't working. Give me one of these. Let's go on some solid ground here. Uh-oh, did it again, damn it. I got an idea. Let's get the bigger one. It doesn't go in there. Uh-oh, it did.
One eternity later. All right, here it comes. Oh yeah, now we need the board. There it is. Wow, that one came out much easier. Now we can get in there and just pop the other two out. What do you think? Can I crack them both out at the same time? Probably not a good idea. Oh yeah. See, check this out. We'll just take this and then we'll put it on here. So we'll slam this guy on there. There we go. Now we'll line it up. Ooh, it's coming. I can feel it. There went one. There went the other one. All right, folks, now we can move on to the linkage. So now we got a couple of sets of bearings. We got one set of bearing, one roller here, one roller here. So we're gonna pop those babies out. First, we gotta pop the seals. Boom. Boom. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it through this one, and we're gonna get it so that it doesn't go into that one. We're gonna expand it. Like so. I'm going to put this guy back on here right now and just pound it on through. That's the plan anyway. So see, I'm on there now. So let's just open this guy up a bit and just slam her on down. Oh yeah, look at that, see? So just make sure that you get that thing up there, and boom. So let's undo this and do that again.
A lot of boring math later.
All right, folks, now that we got this, both bearings out of each side, now we can take this baby and clean it up. All right, now the main part of our linkage. We got these caps on here, and we got these little collars in here, and one in here, and we got a bolt and a washer, and another one. So yeah, so let's get the bearings out of here, and then we can get this baby cleaned up, and we can get these back together. So the very first step we're gonna do is pull the seals. Boom. All right, so this one we're gonna do a little bit different. We're gonna just bash it with a socket. So I got a heavy duty 17mm socket, and we're just gonna take a hammer and bash these things out. So let's find a solid place. This looks about right here. Boom, just like that. That's pretty easy right there. That's why I like doing this one. And we'll do the same on this side. There you go, look at that. Just give it a nice big old frickin' pound, man. Once you connect... Look at the inside of that. See why we're replacing these bearings? Look at that thing. Woo! All right, now this one is going to be a little more tricky because there's one set here and one set here. So there's double. And they both got to come out this way. So what we're going to do with this now is we're going to set it up like so. We're going to take us one of these blind bearing pullers. See, when you do this, when you push this in, it pulls these out. Make sure it fits through there. Yes. So we're going to go through the first one. And now we're going to expand it. So see, now we're on the bearing down there. So what we're going to do is we're going to crank us back on this guy for some leverage. We might be able to get away without a hammer on this. Just give it a couple of... I think it works better with a hammer. So we're going to step on it. Jesus Christ. It's moving, but real slow. Oh, the bearing's out, man. I guess you can stop pounding once the bearing comes all the way out. All right, so now we're gonna do this guy. We're gonna do this guy. And now we have this one left in here. So now, as you can see, now we can fit our socket in there, and we go back to the socket method, which is much easier. We can crank it back down like so. That bearing's just falling apart too. So see, now this very last one is being kind of a pain in the ass for some reason, because they always are. There it comes. There it goes. All right, and now we are free of bearings, and now we can finally go get this thing washed up, cleaned up, shined up, and yeah. I'll come back when we're ready to rock and roll and get this thing back together. Let's do it. Woo! All right, now that we got the bearing carrier all cleaned up, and look at that, it's all beautiful inside. So we're gonna replace the bearings in here. These have been in the freezer, and these have been in the freezer for a few days. But I opted for the double-sized bearings instead of 2 sets of rollers on each side. I went all cheapy, so it'll be all right though. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our heat gun and we're going to set it up to the maximum, and we're going to heat it up.
A few minutes later.
Now we're going to take one of our bearings, and we are going to take a little bit of the grease, and we're going to put it around the outside here. So then we can shove this baby down in there like so, get it started. We take our bearing driver, it sits right here, and we give it a couple of whacks. All right, there you go, folks. I had to take that over to a more, a little denser surface because this is just not working, and it's destroying everything on the table. So anyway, now that you have this side in, now you want to make sure that you put in the sleeve. It's very important, and we're going to throw some grease
on the sleeve here. And then just drop that guy in here. And now we can go for the other side. A little bit of grease on here. And then we'll heat it up.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, and now you want to just get it started straight. Look at that. That one went in straight. We'll see if we can't get away with doing it up here. Well, it's going in, but we're going to have to take it someplace better. All right, see, now we're on more of a solid surface here. We can get this done. And you want to keep on going until it bottoms out. There it is. All right, now we can get our seals in there now that the bearings are in. So all we got to do is just take a little bit of the grease and put it around the outside of here. And what I like to do is fill up this little groove in here with some grease also. And you may have to get a little, we're going to use our driver again. And there you go. You just want to flush. Kind of like so. And then we're going to do the same to the other side. And there you go. Alright, now we're going to do the linkage and the linkage arm here. And we're going to use a 19 socket and a 17 socket for the two various bearing holes right there and the bearing sizes right here. Our bearings have been in the freezer. And we're going to put them on a firm surface. We're going to use the vise right there. My vise has a cool little place where you can just bang shit with a hammer. Alright, so what we're going to do first, we're going to heat this dog up a bit.
A few minutes later.
And then we're going to take our bearing writing side out, which these it doesn't matter. But it's just by general rule that I put the writing side out if it has writing. So let's see if we can't just get that started real fast. And then we'll take our 17 socket and we'll give it a couple of bashes. We want to put it in there far enough where we can get a seal over the top also. So we're going to have to, that looks about right. Because then we have seals, and we need enough to put the seal in there, which we do right there. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other side. You want to be careful with these because there is no stopper. There's nothing that says how far, you just need to do it by eyeball. There you go, that should be plenty. Okay, now we'll take a seal. And we'll put us a little bit of grease along the inside of here. And the outside of here. And then these go with the metal facing in. So the writing here is going to be out. Just like so. And then the other one. You just want to fill this crevice full of grease here and get the outside. And these went in fairly easy this time, but sometimes you may have to take your 17 socket again and give her a couple of wallops to get it seated down in there properly, but we seem to be pretty good. So there you go. Bearinged up, sealed up, and I did hit these with some grease, so we got grease on the inside of there, ready to go. These are ready to rock and roll. All right, now with this guy, so we have 4 bearings and 6 seals. So we got 2 on each side here, we got 1 here and 1 here. So with this, since it's aluminum, we are going to use a piece of wood. Let's get this heated up. Then this one takes the smaller set, and you want to get the writing out again. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it just like we did the other ones, is we're going to push it down just enough so that the seal can fit in there. And there we go, there's enough room for a seal. All right, now we can get the seals in there. So we're just going to put a little bit of grease along the outside of here like the other ones. But you know what? Before we do the seals on this, let's hit all of these bearings with some grease. And there you go. We'll try the hardest one first because this one looks like it's not going to fit in there, but well, of course not, because it's the wrong one. So put this guy in here. There you go. Just get it flush. And of course we can clean all the grease off. This is not going to hurt anything. So then we'll do the same thing to the other side. And we'll just shove that guy right in there. Boom. Alright, so the first step we're going to do is we're going to install the linkage into the frame here. And basically what I've done is I've laid everything out the way that it's going to be assembled. And the direction everything is going to go so that it makes it easy to put together. That's how you want to start out, is you want to get yourself a plan, little chunks of things to do, and it gets less overwhelming. So what I've done is I've set up the linkage the way it's going to get installed onto the machine. So this right here is going to be the frame right here. And I have the bolts set up where they belong and facing the proper direction. So all the bolt heads are going to face out this direction. And all of the nuts are going to go on the back side. So the linkage is set up like this. This bolt is going to be the one that goes into the bottom of the swing arm. This bolt is going to go into the frame, which is already set up there. This bolt I have already assembled on there. And this bolt right here is in the rear shock. So this is the way it's going to go. And then the swing arm is going to go up through here, and we get the big old swing arm bolt right there. So we get this big dog in there, and the bolt head on this one faces out this direction also. And yeah, there we are. Well, before we can assemble all of this stuff, let's go back out to the garage and finish getting all this stuff rebuilt. Boom! All right, folks, check it out. Before we can get this swing arm installed, we're gonna have to assemble a few of the pieces. There are a couple things left to put on this dog. I mean, it looks beautiful with that powder coat. Woo-wee! We are going to have to put in the bearings and the seals and the washers and these little bushings back here. And we have some new seals right here from Yamaha. They go in the back because they were unsavable. We managed to save all the rest of this stuff. And yeah, we got the collars there, and we got the little plugs, the little rubber plugs, and we got the chain slider, and we got the little rubber that goes in the back there. So we'll have to get that in there, and we'll have to apply this. This is where the chain, this is where the brake stay fits onto. So that basically goes with this guy right in there. And then we got the little clippy-doo, little circlip. So yeah, so let's start out. We'll punch these bearings in and get these bushings in there in the other side, and then we'll put the seals and covers on the front there. We'll get the plugs in. Yeah, first thing we're gonna do is install these bearings. All right, so the first step we want to do is you want to get it secured onto somewhere secure. And you can put the bearings in a bunch of different ways. You can use a press. You can use a bearing driver set. You can use a vise. You can use all kinds of things, but I'm going to go old-fashioned. I'm just going to bash those suckers in with my big-ass hammer. That's the way I'm going to get it done. So here we go. Let's get it done. All right, folks, check this out. So what you want to do, you want to find a socket. Boom. I have a 19 Pittsburgh big-ass thick impact socket here. And it fits just barely in there, right? So it won't get stuck in there. And we're just gonna crank this bearing right on through here like so. And what I'm gonna do this a little bit unorthodox. I have this hammer, and it is flat on here. So you wanna be very careful with this, but I'm just gonna smash it like this. Without the socket, without anything. I'm just gonna crack-a-lack it. And we'll get it started. And then once we get it in there straight, then we can use the socket to finish it off and bring it down. So let's hold it steady here and this board seems to want to bounce. I don't know why. What if I put it like right here? That's more solid. All right, so now we can take our socket. Well, I don't want to get too close here. This needs to go down flush, and then it needs to go 5 millimeters. That's what the manual calls for. So the bearing depth is 5 millimeters, and the bushing on the other side is going to be 8 millimeters deep. All right, folks, now we can get this thing the rest of the way assembled. Now that we have our bearings pounded in there, and they are down to a 5 millimeter depth, we can stand this baby up like so. And on the back side, we're going to be putting in these Delrin bushing kind of dealios that they still sell. What we're going to do though is we're going to use some of the Maxima waterproof grease back there. So we're going to grease these babies up. And on the inside, and we're going to try to keep it off of our nice white powder coat. So let's see if we can't get that in there without getting it everywhere. Come on. Boom. So now, that thing when you put this bushing in, I got it flat now, but we're going to have to get it in a little farther. But this bushing goes in 8 millimeters according to the manual. So the bearing is 5 millimeters and the bushing in the back here is 8 millimeters. So let's get that sucker in there the rest of the way, shall we? Yes, we shall. Woo-hoo. And we're going to use us a 19 socket here. Oh yeah, look at that. So you can just push this in now, once I got it started. Eight millimeters or so, we'll just put it in like that, and we're gonna have a seal that goes on there. So the seal, we'll push it down the rest of the way. And that's our fine Yamaha packages we got here. So let's get that seal in there. And a little bit of grease. You don't want a lot on this though, just a little bit around the outside of here. And then these are just going to shove in the back of here. So if we put us a punch all the way through, there we go. We should be able to, all right, and there you have it. So you just want this little ridge right here sticking up, and then the rest of it is flush. Get this out of the way. And then we have these guys that go through here. We'll put them through the front side, and we'll put these in last. So let's get the other side done.
One eternity later.
There it went. All right. Now we're flushed in there. Now, what we do, we can put these bushings through here. But we're going to grease these up, of course. And then we get a little cap on there, which is going to be one of these little rubber pieces, right? We're going to grease this up. And it's going to go inside of here. It looks like they're universal. So we throw that inside of there. And then there will be a washer, and we'll put some grease up on this guy. And then it goes right inside of here. So it just plucks in there. And then of course this goes over the top of this. Boom. And then we'll do the same to the other side. Okay, then that goes in there, and then we'll throw the cap on. Boom. All right, now for our chain slider. We're just gonna slide the chain slider on to here. And first, we're just gonna stick it right on there, and then it goes onto that little bolt hole right there. We use a little bolt here. Before we do that, we're gonna throw some blue Loctite on there. And then we're just gonna zip that sucker down. Just like so. One more little hit for good measure. There we go. We're gonna assemble the rest of this stuff later on down the line when we get to putting in the carrier and all that good stuff. Woo! We're ready. All right, there we go. All right, now that we got everything rebuilt, wonderful, beautiful, shined up, greased up, ready to rock and roll, let's get this stuff installed. So, the very first step we're gonna do is install the shock linkage. And basically what this is this is the connecting arm. So we're gonna take the connecting arm and we're gonna connect it to the frame. So you want to keep it the same orientation that we had it sitting at, and you want to get all the rest of the shit the fuck out of the way. And we'll get this back, and yeah, this baby's gonna go right on in here. Just like so, and then we'll put this guy in here. Boom. Right on in there, and then we'll just cap these nuts off right quick, and then we'll torque them all down at the same time. All right, so basically this is gonna go like this. And this is gonna be the swing arm, and this is going to be the rear shock. So now that we have that in there, let's get the swing arm installed, and we're not gonna be tightening that one down though. The swing arm is gonna go up in here. So the swing arm goes here. We'll just slide that through. And then we'll get the bolt started through there, the swing arm bolt through. Just goes like that. And then we're not going to tighten this one down though, because obviously we have a motor that's going to go in here. So this bolt is going to go through the motor right here. So we're not going to tighten this one down at all. We're going to tighten up all the rest of them though, but this one we're just going to leave loose. It's just going to sit here for show purposes at this point. So yeah, so let's get on to the next step. Woo, let's get the shock in there. All right, the next step, we're going to get the shock bolted up to the frame. And so far, basically what we're doing here is all of the steps have been securing everything to the frame. So we have the connecting arm, the swing arm, and now we're going to install the shock, and then we'll have all three of the pieces installed directly to the frame. All right, so the shock is going to go... All right, peoples, before we get the rear shock installed into the machine down here, let's take a trip out to the garage, and I'll show you how we got this shock all cleaned up. And it wasn't quite the same as the front shocks. So let's take a trip out to the garage and get her cleaned up. Woo! All right, folks, check it out. With the rear shock, we ran into a little bit of a different situation here. If you undo these all the way to the end, they don't come off like they do on the front shocks. So this is as far as I could get it to go, and there isn't enough space for me to get this out easily, because these need to come out here at the top. So we need to compress the shock and pull this out. We don't need much. But what we're going to do is we're going to put a bolt through here, but from the back side. So we're going to undo this. We're going to put us a bolt through here. We're going to put it back in here. So now we got the bolt in there. We're gonna put a nut on the end too, just in case. Because we're gonna hook this. What we're gonna do is basically we're gonna strap this, right? We're gonna take the strap and we're gonna hook it on here. We got just barely enough, I think, to get her done. Oh no, it's just barely not enough. We might have to go a little bit lower with this. But I think I might be able to finagle this a little bit. Ooh, it was just barely enough. I think I might have just enough to pop this out. Boom, right into my trash can. You guys didn't get to see that, but that's what happened. Anyway, so yeah. So now, we'll undo this guy. Gave me just enough. And now we can pop this guy off. And the spring. All right. And now we're cooking with some gasoline. Now we can get these cleaned up and we have all the shocks taken apart. Actually, we need to get this, so we'll spray that down a bit. Woo! All right. Finally. No! All right, well, it looks like this will not come off without taking the shock apart. So, we're just going to clean it as is and put it back together again. And we're going to clean up the bump stop here. Yeah, look at that. See, this thing will clean up nice. We're just going to get it all clean. We're going to clean the spring. Let's get her done. We can get this stuff back on there. And once again, it looks like somebody definitely drove these things with a lot of dirt on them. And that's what happens. Right there. That's what happens when you drive them with a lot of dirt on there. So yeah, check that out. That right there, the wear. See how it's all wore off right here? This is what happens when you ride with dirty shocks and stuff like that, dirty springs. That was the sleeve in there that's doing all the rubbing and all that stuff on there. It can happen here on the shaft as well if you get a lot of dirt underneath the bump stop and all that stuff. So yeah, we're gonna clean this up all nice. All right, let's get her done. Woo! Yeah, we got everything cleaned up beautifully. So we're just gonna feed these back down. If you remember correctly, they don't go all the way off either. That's about as far as that one goes. As far as it will go. And then as far as the spring goes, I believe this is interchangeable. It doesn't look like it has any more or less compressed coils on either side. But mine has a deciding factor. I can tell that this little place where it's worn off was on this side. So I'm going to put it back where it was, but I don't believe it matters which way this goes. So then we'll fly that guy back down. So it sits on there as far as we can go. I think we got these down farther than we did last time. So it should be a little bit easier to get this contraption back in there. The way it works is this slides over the top, sits like this. And then these guys go in like so. And these things, let me see, I think it matters. Yeah, so we got a flat side, and this is concave. And obviously you can tell from the wear, and you can see where this little square is cut off, that it was sitting right here on the square. But in case you didn't have this and yours is brand new, you want the flat side to go down into the cup here. And we'll just try to get that back where it was, because, well, there we go. Like I said, that was a little bit easier this time. I think we got these down farther than we did last time. So now we can put this up. So yeah, we'll just slide that guy back around. And we want those things, I think it makes more sense to have them so that the cut is right here. Right on this. You want them to be evenly spaced onto there. So we're going to place this spring right there. And we're going to place these two right there. And we're going to try to make sure that this doesn't move. So we're going to hold it and we're going to start tightening. And yeah, just like the fronts, we're just going to tighten this up until we find the right amount of threads. This is also around 6, I believe, so we'll get that hooked up. And we're going to add us our blue Loctite, 242. And we're just going to spin this guy back down again. We'll catch the Loctite in the threads there. We can tighten this guy on up, and hopefully it doesn't move. And there we go. Now we should have 6 threads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more shock, ready to be put on the machine. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, so the shock is going to go through this little hole in the swing arm, and it's going to come in from the back side right here. And then we can just pull this bolt. We can get that hooked up through here. There we go, we get it lined up. Boom. And then we'll just put this nut on the end of there also so it doesn't come back off, and we'll torque all of these at the same time. And next, let's move on and get our linkage hooked up. Next, we're going to get the shock connected to the relay arm, which is this guy right here, the shiny one. Right here it's threaded, and the bolt just goes through from the back side. So let's just get that hooked up. All right, and then next, let's get this bolt out of here. This is going to go through the swing arm, which is right here. All right, now before we hook the connecting arm and the relay arm to the swing arm, we are going to have to tighten this bottom shock bolt and torque it, because otherwise it's going to pull the connecting arm up over the top of this thing and we won't be able to get a socket in there any longer. So let's get this torqued, and the bottom shock bolt gets torqued to 31 foot-pounds. 31. All right, next step is we're going to have to disconnect the relay arm from the connecting arm here. So we're going to have to get that out of there, and then this bolt out of there. And let's take this off of there and put it onto the bottom of the swing arm. Just like that. And then we can take the connecting arm and put it back onto this arm, but we're gonna have to raise up on here. Boom, just like that. All right, now that we got those bolts through, you can see why we torqued the bottom shock bolt first beforehand, because see, it's covered right now. We wouldn't be able to get a socket in there. But let's get these other 3 nuts on here, and we're gonna use some blue Loctite first, and then we'll get them torqued up, and these all 3 get torqued to 40 foot-pounds. So let's get the Loctite on there. And then we'll just secure these guys down real fast. All right, and then these guys get torqued down to 40 foot-pounds. All 3 of them, the same. 40. 40. And 40. All right, and then the top. Yeah. All right, and then the top shock bolt, and it gets, you say that a bunch of times. Top shock bolt, top shock bolt, top shock bolt, top shock bolt, top shock bolt. Say it. Do that like 5 times in a row. Top shock bolt, top shock bolt, top shock bolt, top shock bolt, top. Yeah, hell yeah. Woo! It's hard to do, man. That's a tongue twister and a half. Anyhow, so the only difference here is this is a 19 millimeter versus a 17 millimeter on the other ones. And it gets torqued higher as well. So this one will get torqued to 58 foot-pounds. Remember, the other ones were 40. So let's get the same. Let's do the blue Loctite. And this one also has a washer. All right, and now we're at 58 foot-pounds. So let's get her torqued up. 58. All right, folks, now it's time to get our bearing carrier installed. And yeah, let's get that baby right here. We got it all cleaned up and ready to rock. We're gonna shove that dog right on through here. But first, we're gonna have to put a couple things on and do a couple things to it. That bearing carrier is just gonna have to wait until next episode. And next episode, check this out. We are going to be getting all of this stuff installed. We're gonna get the wheels installed and the rear brake caliper and sprocket and the sprocket guards, the axle, the bearing carrier, yeah, the brake rotor down there, the wheel hubs. Whoo! You don't want to miss that. So yeah, so make sure that you subscribe and make sure that you change that notification from personalized to all, and then you'll get notified whenever 11 Gallery ATV puts out the new videos. Yeah, whoo! I know some of you are not subscribed, and it would really, really help me if you could just go ahead and take a little bit of time and hit that subscribe button. That'd be awesome. Appreciate all of you, and next episode, we're going to get all of this stuff installed. Woo! It's going to be exciting, so you want to make sure that you stay tuned for that. You know what time it is? Peace out, Girl Scouts. Woo!